This conference will now be recorded.
All right. The Town of Cottage Grove Plan Commission will hold a public meeting on Wednesday, September 22nd, 2021 at 7 p.m. at the Town Hall at 4058 County Road N. You can also join the meeting by GoToMeeting. We have a quorum present. The meeting was posted at the Town Hall and on the website. I'll call the meeting to order, and you have the minutes from the August 25th meeting in your packet.
I'll move approval.
Motion by Anders to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Myler. On the motion to approve the minutes as presented, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Abstentions?
Yes.
One abstention. Motion carried. Next item is public concerns. Public's opportunity to speak to the Plan Commission about any subject that is not a specific agenda item. Sir.
Christopher Dyer, have questions for the commission, if I may.
Okay.
Should I come up there or just from here?
Wherever you prefer.
I was looking for a roller chair, but I don't think there's one.
Sorry, no, you can just come up here.
One back here.
What's back there?
I know you have a full plate tonight, so I'll make this brief and just kind of provide you some information here because you don't have enough maps and things to look at in your packets.
No, we never do.
More here. So my name is Christopher Dyer, and my wife and I are interested in purchasing the property at 4075 Vilas Road. And while we know there's a process for seeking conditional use permits, we're somewhat in limbo as we're not the property owner yet. We're not looking for official action. It's just our intent to be transparent and a good neighbor. In short, along with the current RR4 zoning upon purchase, we would pursue a conditional use permit for a limited family business. And I do have the definitions more for my reference in case needed there on the page 2, it's highlighted. The property listing originally indicated in the incorrect zoning on the real estate listing. Thank you again, Kim, for pointing that out. And I know the town is in currently under review of its comprehensive and future use plans. I want to make sure I am reading things correctly before we move forward. We're not the types to have a couple $1 million to throw around. So we wanted to bring it to the situation to your attention and get an unofficial temperature of the room before we move forward looking at a purchase. On the attached sheet, you'll see some characteristics of our business there in kind of the second bold section. And its impact on the property, as I know that's a major issue. There are 2 points noted with an asterisk, and my conversation started a few weeks ago with Kim and the town to verify zoning, and then also with Roger Lane. And he indicated the 2 points there that I have marked with an asterisk as being obstacles or an objection in his original email correspondence. He did his due diligence and investigation, looked at our business website, and made 2 fair but incorrect assumptions about our business. And now those assumptions would be that the employees we have listed on our business were essentially a virtual computer desk job business, that those people are on site, but they are not. They work remote, and that we rent our office space. Heather, my wife, and I are the only on-site employees, and other staff work remote, and we do not rent the office space. However, we do host committee meetings, much like this one, for the associations we serve. And those are professional associations. I also had an hour phone conversation with Pam Andros yesterday, and when I clarified those points, her unofficial opinion was that, should she be asked, her interpretation of point B under the limited family business was that for employees working on that reference employees working on site. And that section says the use shall employ no more than 1 full-time equivalent employee who is not a member of the family residing on the premises. And so in this day and age, with more things going virtual, which is really why we're able to consider something like this, everybody is working more and more working remote. And her belief is that if that was properly explained to Roger Lane as well, that he would be of the same opinion. But that'd be something I'd be happy to do to clarify. So I know you have a lot on your agenda, and I've been on your side of the table on the village board 20 some years ago, and utility commission 10 or so years ago. And I appreciate your time and that you don't have any obligation to respond to me today, but I'm hoping before I leverage, really kind of the future of our business and what we do, if the use of the property in that fashion as our primary residence and as a limited family, and then upon purchase applying for a conditional use for a limited family business, as our primary residence, and then for conditional use as the limited family business, if that fits in the town's view and kind of where you see things going, under your town plan and revisions and usage. So if there's any questions or any other information, I'd be happy to provide it.
It looks like that process would probably work. Quick look at the information here.
Yeah, I know I'm not giving you a lot of time to absorb the information, but there would not be any structures or equipment changes. We love that property. I mean, we've lived in the village for a long time, and that has been just kind of and we take back roads. Our office is currently on the east side of Madison, and that's just kind of a welcome moment when kind of coming home, and all due credit to the property owner there now for taking as good care of it as they have. Our intent would be to keep that up, and certainly being able to do what we do from that space would allow us to do that. No machinery in our business, no vehicles, logoed vehicles or otherwise, other than our own personal vehicles. We don't anticipate any additional vehicle traffic at this time, but in full disclosure, we do have committee meetings like this, maybe twice a month. And we would like to be able to host that and make improvements in the barn to have a conference room.
So those would be in person though, not virtual, right?
Those would be in person. Well, at when appropriate. Yeah.
Sometime, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. We're pretty tech savvy and can set up a nice room like you have here with cameras and things. And we definitely had to pivot our business to be able to accommodate that.
So was Pam not needing the commercial zoning for that thing in order to get the facilities in there?
I think
Because that's what I thought was the hang up.
as far as the sanitary fixtures.
Yeah.
So I kind of have another part down here is the wish list. Under the definition that I printed from the Dane County ordinances, I believe it's subsection G.
Yep.
Sanitary fixtures to serve the limited family business may be installed, but must be removed upon expiration of the conditional use permit or abandonment of the limited family business. It would be our hope that when we came back, that would be something we could do. Again, there's all sorts of stuff that needs to happen after that with drain field analysis and septic and things like that would go through the process.
Fixtures.
Yeah.
So the reason I'm asking that is that under the RR4 thing, it says that they're prohibited from accessory buildings.
Yeah, and yet then
Consistency between the charter and what the wording says.
unless it comes under the limited family business part of it. But again, yeah, you're right. But I don't, so that's been my challenge, and I've been educating myself. It also says that, one of the possible conditional uses is a daycare center, but that'd be kind of cool to do without sanitary fixtures. Good luck with that. So cemetery is probably not needed as much, but it does kind of contradict itself in some areas there, so.
I guess I would follow her recommendation if you wanted to file.
Okay.
So it doesn't require commercial zoning, so then that whole obstacle with the comprehensive plan is removed.
Yeah, and I think there would be, so this would suit our present, what we are, and with my wife and I and our business, with under the limited family business part, very well for the next several years. I think in time, we would like to follow the path of Dave. And as we kind of, we have plenty to do with our current business, but as time fades, there may be another time when we would come back and say we would like to do agriculture entertainment from the barn facility, but that's not something we are looking to do in the next several years. And so that would be another discussion.
That makes it easier.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So again,
Okay.
I just wanted to be a good neighbor, see if there was any distinct objection to the limited family business aspect of it under RR4. And that's it. Okay. Yeah, I know you can't say officially, but I'm just kind of reading the temperature of the room kind of thing.
You know, the only thing you'd have to be mindful of is under G,
Mhm.
it must be removed upon expiration of the conditional use permit or abandonment of a limited family business, if that should ever happen.
Right, so and I think all those CUPs expire upon sale of the property, so anything
Right.
there would have to be reapplied for.
Yeah.
And this is in the external buildings.
Yes.
Correct.
So if there was a hiccup, you bought it, there was a hiccup, would you be willing to move maybe your conference room into your home?
I don't know that that's allowed. The way I read things is that it has to be, I can't remember if it's a home occupation
The whole-
clause there, but there was something in there that I don't know that we would be able to pull that off. But by the same token, you know, in our current office building, the restrooms are 75 feet down the hallway. I could certainly go 75 feet to our home to use the facilities.
I'm more thinking that you make a room in your home as part of your office to do just your meetings,
Okay.
not to house people or to have.
There's just a comment, excuse me, that popped up here from Heather. And she said that you can't move it into your house. Hold on, I gotta get the right screen here so I can.
Oh, okay.
For financing reasons.
For financing reasons, we would not be able to do that. I knew there was something, and Heather's my wife, and so she's watching over my shoulder. She never
They do.
So I
Okay.
thank you for your time. And please feel, Chris and Dave and Kim have my contact information. If there's anything else I can answer or provide, I'd be happy to do so.
All right.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Very much.
Thanks.
Any other public concerns? All right, hearing none. Will Dane County Solar LLC, applicant Dane County landowner, applying for a conditional use permit for a 20 megawatt solar facility on 178 acres along County AB, Hope and Femright roads. And we cannot take action on this tonight because it hasn't been noticed in the paper, but we could get the information and start thinking about things.
Very good.
I wanted to just show this map first, and then I'm gonna turn the screen over to the applicant here, but I think this map maybe shows a better big picture of what exactly is involved in it, because a lot of people seem to be struggling with where's Femright Road, where's Hope Road, and where does it all fit. So if you can see that one to start with, it might give you a better idea of what we're actually talking about. And then I'm gonna turn the presentation over here.
I suppose we should move this chair over.
Um, What are your initials on here?
No. Bill French, they should be
Well, there, no, P,
right on the left-hand side.
here we go. Okay, here we are. Yeah, I don't, I got a little bit squished more version here. Okay, so I'm gonna make you the presenter. So you're, I think, gonna have to accept that and then share your screen.
Share my webcam. I don't want to share my webcam, do I?
No, just, you're gonna wanna share your
That's the
screen.
last thing people want to do is see me. Okay, now I should go to my presentation.
Yep. Here you
Ah,
go.
look at that technology. Before I speak, Dave Merritt from the Dane County would just like to say a few words first, and then I'll go into my presentation.
Okay,
Yeah, if okay with the chair, I'll give a very brief presentation and turn it over to Bill. Good evening, I'm Dave Merritt. I work in the Dane County Department of Administration. I'm its Director of Policy and Program Development. Joining me online this evening, you'll see Todd Violente. He's our Director of our Department of Planning and Development.
we've heard of him.
You have?
Yeah.
Thought you might have. And of course, Bill French, who's the Regional Director of Project Development for Sunvest Solar, and also a member of his staff, Katie Milcheski, and we have also 3 members of Alliant Energy staff in the room if you have any particular questions for Alliant Energy
Oh, yes.
as well. So in November of last year, it was County Executive Parisi and Alliant Energy announced a new partnership to develop approximately 140 acres here in the town of Cottage Grove on county-owned land to build a large-scale solar project. The solar project, when built and operating as proposed, would enable Dane County to achieve its goal of 100% renewable electricity at county-owned facilities. Earlier this year, Alliant Energy chose Sunvest Solar to develop and construct the project. We're excited to partner with Alliant Energy and Sunvest on our largest solar project to date to become 100% renewable at our government facilities. We believe that achieving this milestone is a win-win, benefiting both not only the environment, but Dane County taxpayers for years to come. This installation is going to create local clean energy jobs and help in our mission to combat climate change. So this solar project, as Bill will describe in greater detail, will include over 55,000 solar panels, producing over 30,000 megawatt hours of electricity every year. That's enough to power about 4,500 homes here in Dane County. The renewable electricity generated from this new project is going to reduce greenhouse gas emissions in an amount equivalent to the emissions produced by over 4,000 vehicles, or about 14,000 tons of coal per year. This project is going to be about double the size of our newly constructed solar facility at our own Dane County Regional Airport. That's a 9 megawatt solar project, currently providing about 40% of the electricity required to power county facilities, whether that be at the airport, the zoo, parks, other administration buildings. So it's anticipated that Sunvest will own the project approximately the first 5 years or so, and afterwards sell the project to Alliant Energy. And Bill can provide you further details on that anticipated part of the plan. And the county, of course, will lease the property for the project itself. Once the project is completed and operating, Sunvest and Alliant will take the power generated from the project to its customers. Dane County is going to receive what's called the renewable energy credits from the project, which will offset the county's greenhouse gas emissions and help achieve its 100% renewable goal. I'll add that Bill French in his remarks will also describe the shared revenues to be received by the town once Alliant Energy takes ownership of the project. On that note, why don't we have Bill French up here for you?
before we get to him,
Yeah.
I'm going to need a signature from the landowner, which is the county.
No, actually, I've talked to Todd about that already. I have an email to basically explain
Says
why
that
it's
they're
not
signing
signed. Well, or why they're not signing it, but they are in agreement, or I mean, I don't know how to read it. I have to find it to read it. But anyway, he isn't comfortable signing it because it's just such a delicate thing for them, but they are in support of.
I don't know how delicate it could
Well-
be. They own the land. Somebody just signed it.
I don't know. I have an email that I think I should have put that in your packet, but when you see that, you'll understand what I'm trying to say.
Okay.
Yeah, I did catch that.
But then are they going to ask for a zone change? There's 4 different zones for the various acreage.
All we're simply asking for is a conditional use permit and not a rezoning.
Yeah, but your conditional use doesn't fit with all of those zoning categories.
And I'll correct that. I think there was one that was added for mistake, but it's, yeah, the RR2 is not allowed in, but all the others it should be. So RMA, HC, AT35, and FP35.
Okay,
It was my mistake in my narrative too. I think I put that in there incorrectly.
not that I don't believe you, but
Okay.
I can't remember all these.
Do you remember which parcel is RR2?
It's
It's not.
It's not.
I would be mistaken.
RM8 is okay.
C should be. It's heavy.
FT35 is okay. It's AT35.
This one.
AT35, it's not allowed in.
Yeah, there's transportation, communication.
Renewable energy generation.
Well, it's not considered a utility.
They list them specifically in the other areas as renewable.
Oh, yeah, it is. It's the last conditional use on AT35, renewable energy electricity generators.
Oh, okay.
I understand
And in HC,
HC,
it's in there. Okay.
it.
So as long as we don't do the RR2, we're probably okay. So as long as it's not RR2, we're okay. All right. Thank you.
Thanks for warming the chair. Hi, I'm Bill French. It's weird to sit, but if you don't mind, that's fine. It might be a long day. I'm the regional director of project development for Sunbest Solar. As David mentioned, we are the leasee to the property, and we're reducing hopefully electricity for Alliant Energy. We are asking for up to a 20 megawatt AC solar facility, AC being alternate current. Obviously, it's in the town of Cottage Grove, Dane County. We're before you for a change in land use. Here I am. That's my contact information, my phone number in case there are ever emails or questions you have for me individually. I'm happy to address those. As we mentioned, the landowner in this case is Dane County. The applicant is Dane County Solar LLC, which is owned by Sunvest Solar LLC. It's located kind of north and east of 3087 Lutz Lane, but in more general terms, it's located east of County Road AB, generally south of Femrite and south of Hope Lane. Yes, thank you. And I'll show you a map of a little more detail in a minute here. I'll give you the property IDs. The question came up, I give you the full parcel size. So that was the entire number of acres of the parcels we're using, which is 178 acres. However, the project size itself would be 109 acres, and we define that as inside the fence, and we'll talk about the fence in a little bit. As we did here, there's the current zoning. I did have a mistake in the project summary I gave you. I indicate RR2, but that it was incorrect. It's currently used as agricultural. It's farmed right now. It has corn on it. I think he rotates between corn and beans. And we'll eventually be asking or requesting a conditional use permit with Dane County. A little bit about Sunvest Solar. So actually, we're a Wisconsin company. We're headquartered in Pewaukee. Started business in 2009 and have grown there to be really one of the #1 solar developers in Wisconsin. We have 850 projects that we've installed across 12 states. We have a team of over 35 and we continue to grow. And we provide really from everywhere from inception development all the way through engineering, procurement, and construction, and then some O&M services, operation and maintenance beyond that. As I stated here, we're the #1 developer in Wisconsin, really since 2016. And I give you here, just show you some of the more notable partners that we've worked with in the past, including WEC Energy, SEPTA, Milwaukee Bucks, NG, Peoples Gas, and we also just recently installed a large facility on the Harley Davidson factory. So it's a pretty well proven Wisconsin company. We also have an office in Madison, and then the office I work out of is in Geneva, Illinois. Just a little more about us. Again, we are part of the Newman family of companies. Newman is a developer, but also includes Halen Homes, Harbor Homes, Tim O'Brien Homes. I'm sure you've heard of all those. So we are managed by the Newman family. We're proud to announce that we were just named one of the top 10 solar developers nationwide. So it's pretty exciting time. We're a growing company. We have a very good reputation, and see we're a Better Business Bureau rating of A+. So I'm proud of those things. They start off with this slide because they try to answer some of the general questions that people normally ask about solar development. Solar development, there's really minimal to no glare involved with the solar development. Panels themselves are designed to absorb sunlight, not reflect it. So there's actually a non-reflective surface on the panel itself to help control glare. Solar gardens are generally quiet during the day and silent at night. So when they're not producing energy, it's not going to be really any noise there. In this case, there are minimal moving parts. I'll talk a little bit more about that as we get into the details of the project. But there's very little that can wear out on a solar panel. The panels themselves, in this case, are going to be 7 to 8 feet tall. And once the project is up and operational, there's very little traffic generated by these sites. The site gets visited periodically just for routine maintenance. And then there'll be twice a year, there'll be the general maintenance that'll get done. Solar gardens are clean, safe. They don't emit any emissions once they're up in operation. You mentioned they require very little maintenance once they're working. Panels be inspected twice a year for maintenance and cleaning. We won't have any buildings on site, so there's no need for facilities. nor will we have any lighting, either internal or external. After construction, this is kind of the neat thing. We will plant the entire site underneath the panels with a pollinator-friendly native seed mix. We've done this successfully. This is a deep-rooted plant. The roots will go deep into the ground, stabilize the soil, minimize erosion. And in fact, we have data that shows that once this is up and operational and the seeding is taking place, the runoff coefficient is actually quite a bit less than if it was just a plowed field. We're proposing a 20 megawatt facility. We believe this, my number is a little more conservative days, but I think would power about 3,000 homes. Depends on your power usage. But anyway, so somewhere between 300 to 4,500 homes. Panels themselves are long lasting. They're warranted by the manufacturer generally for 20 to 25 years. But even at that point in time, at 20 to 25 years, they still have 80% of their producing capacity left. Maintenance of these will be done remotely. So we'll set up a SCADA or a wireless connection. Everything gets monitored back at an office. If anything goes wrong, then you can send out a crew to specifically monitor the project. It's so good that you can tell when a panel goes out that something needs to be replaced. This is similar to the map that was shared, showing you. My cursor doesn't, yeah, I guess it does. So Buckeye Road or AB is here on the western side. Right crosses at an angle from northwest to southeast. Here's Hope, so to get people to feel where it is. So we're generally going to be operating within the 78 acre or 178 acres that's outlined in red. It's hard to breathe in a mask and give a presentation. As I mentioned, here's the site plan. You've all had this in your packet as well, but for those viewing at home, this shows you the approximate location of the project itself within the 109 acres. There will be 3 access drives required. One will come off, or 2 will come off of Ephemerite. As you can see here, that's the darker gray. And then 1 will come off of Woods Lane. Another correction in my, as I'm reading it again in my presentation, I was stating that there was parking at each entrance for 20 to 30 cars. It's 2 to 3 cars. I don't know why I did that, but we're not asking for large parking lots. So once it's up and operational and somebody comes up to inspect the site, it's usually going to be in a pickup truck or a small vehicle. They'll pull inside the fence. It's a gravel drive, gravel parking lot. And you'll be able to just sit inside there. We are proposing a 7-foot fence for security purposes. This is actually a federal requirement. We are producing a heck of a lot of electricity. We need to keep a secured site, so we do put up a 7-foot chain link fence. We're not proposing any kind of barbed wire or anything on top. It's just a chain link fence.
Oh, no concertina wire on the top?
Only if you ask for it,
No.
but I prefer you not. We don't want it to look like a prison. Here's just some sheets. You have the plan view what a panel looks like. Oh, and let me go back. You don't mind? I totally missed something important. We're proposing a single axis tracker for this. So there are 2 types of systems out there for photovoltaic. One's called fixed tilt, just like it sounds. It's a panel, faces south, doesn't move. We're proposing a single axis tracker. So this will actually move with the sun east to west during the day. It's on a motorized system. The motor is very quiet. Basically, they click every 10 minutes is what they do. So it's clicking, 10 minutes increments
That's what
during the
they're
day.
using at the airport.
Pardon me?
That's what they're using at the airport.
Yes.
Yeah. The reason people doing this, at first they were kind of expensive to install, but it's become much more efficient. And they're because they're tracking, they produce a little more energy. So it kind of offsets the cost. So the way you can always tell if you ever look at a site plan is a fixed tilt, the rows will run east and west. And in this case, with the tracker, they run north and south. So it's a little bit different. You'll probably start seeing a lot more of these as time goes on. The other advantage is they're just a little bit shorter. A fixed tilt, they'll stack panels. They're 2 high, 1 and 2. And here is just going to be a single panel. which I can show you now. It makes sense when I show you what the single axis tracker type or plan looks like. This just shows you the plan view and elevation. And probably the most important one is this. This just shows you how it's situated. It's just on a pivoting frame. Again, facing east. At noon, it's going to be perpendicular to the ground and then rotating to the west. This is showing it's about 7, almost 8 feet tall at the maximum tilt. So first thing in the morning, last thing at night, it's about 8 feet, 7 to 8 feet tall. This is the fence. If you haven't seen the fence, this is what they look like.
Do you have problems with animals?
In what regard?
Oh, deer getting in there or?
Sometimes, yes. In some, we're not worried about the smaller animals. They tend to be able to get in and out. Deer sometimes do get in, but they'll get out. If we think that's a problem or that's something people are worried about, we'll possibly go to an 8-foot fence, but it's not going to make that much of a difference. We have not encountered where there's a huge problem with deer, at least in the past. I know there's a large deer population here, though.
Yeah. And are your gates, are they, they're manually operated?
So they're manual operated, yep, locked. We'd have a Knox box on them so that the
Fire department?
fire department, emergency personnel could
Get
get
in.
it.
Okay.
Mhm. And then here's the way these are installed. The other nice thing is that really there will be no concrete used in the installation of these. What I'm showing you here is a installation photo. So these are galvanized steel I-beams. They're generally different in the ground, somewhere from 8 to 15 feet. We use a pneumatic machine. That's what this guy is right here. Just a pneumatic pounding machine. It'll pound it into the ground. The nice thing is at the end of the project's life, you pull it right back out, and that we don't have any concrete to contend with. The only concrete you may encounter is actually on the pads for the transformer and for the inverters. I'll show you in a minute. But that's it. That's just a pad, so it'll pop off the This the work itself is installation is manually intensive. It's once the racking system once the racking is put together, most of the other work is done by hand. So kind of the erector set putting together the tracker, installing the panels, and then running the wire. As I mentioned, they face east-west. Oh, yeah, that's a mistake. Actually, these panels will run north-south. Between rows is somewhere between 60 and 20 feet. So when it's finished, this is what a tracker looks like. Here's one facing due west. It's about 3 by 9 is the actual panel size, 1 meter by 3 meters. And this doohickey on the left, this is what I refer to as the magic box. This is what converts the sunlight from direct current into alternate current. We are proposing here to do what's called a central inverter. So if I go back to the site plan, right near the entries where we have the entrances and parking area, they'll have the transformer and you'll have the central inverter. What's different about this is instead of having inverters at the end of each rows, or a string inverter as they call it, they're ends of strings, you pull it into this and it's all in one place. The nice thing is you can kind of move it away from the edges. It's a little bit louder than others, not much, 67 decibels at about 30 feet. So it's a little bit louder, but you can push it away from property lines and things like that. So it is pretty quiet.
And all the wiring's buried?
Pardon me?
All the connecting wiring is buried?
There's 2 ways to do it. You can either bury all the wire, or they can hang the wire from the ends of the rows. There's an advantage to hanging them, and that is it's easier to maintain. And at the end of the day, you're not going to tear them back out. They're going to be buried, 40 to 48 inches. So there's an advantage to hanging the cables.
What's making the noise? Fans?
Basically, yes. Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
Cool.
Pardon me?
Keeping it cool.
Yes. Mhm.
What is your proposed method of, with the wires, you're gonna bury them or you?
I probably hang them would be the proposed.
It's a combination. Depends on which wires you're talking about.
The BT wires.
Yes. So here, this is what you would anticipate it would look like. This would not be year one, I'll just be honest. This is gonna be year 3. If you've ever tried to establish a prairie, it takes about 3 years to really get it up and rolling. But this would be typical of the seed mix you'd see out there. Be heavy in pollinator friendly plants, obviously good for birds and bees and things like that.
How often is that maintained to keep the noxious out?
So the way it works is we'll mow it twice a year, and then it will get spot treated. So if there's anything coming up, this will get some out of the way. So there's going to be some herbicide used, at least in the beginning, to help get things established. But
Your first photos showed a lot of dandelions.
one man's weeds, another man's flower. Now, come on.
As long as you're not making wine.
Well, depends. Yeah. Yep. So that's kind of it. Oops, I don't need that.
There you go.
Questions,
That's
comments?
all right there.
I'll go back. Do you want me to leave the site plan up or which would you prefer? Usually we end up here. So questions of me or anyone else here? We do have a few people.
I have a question for you.
Yes, sir.
I'm Gary Gosman,
Yes.
a member of Hope Church.
Yes, sir.
On your west side, how close do the panels come to the property line?
So the panels, the edge of the panel probably be about 100 feet from the property line.
Okay.
It's a little.
Do you have intend on putting a berm along there to?
We would ask not to put a berm up. We don't want to do any earth moving whatsoever. The idea is to leave the existing grade as is.
Well, Hope Church has already got the dump on one side of us. Now we're gonna have that view on the other side. You really have kind of made a mess of our place doing that with the landfill. I mean, a berm, so at least from our parking lot and our building, we wouldn't see.
I think if it came down to it, might as well just cut right to it, would be that we would prefer to put in a landscape buffer as opposed to a berm if we did anything. If it was a requirement both of the township and the county.
Okay, a landscape buffer that would be usable as a buffer, a landscape buffer?
Yeah, we could come up,
When that is activated then?
well, it wouldn't be super.
I mean, you don't want to
Yeah,
put stuff in this tall and
correct.
I'll be dead before it gets.
No, we would propose, if it came down to propose something that was a mix of evergreen and deciduous trees, shrubs, things that would be.
And you would plan in appropriately heights.
Probably be installing it in about 6 foot height would probably be the most logical, 6 to 7 foot. I mean, that's when if you think about when you get evergreen trees, that's about.
Well, you're
the
putting in
height.
an 8 foot high system. I mean, it should be near that.
Understand.
That's what I had for right now.
Have another question.
Brian
Mike?
from the telephone.
Yeah, Mike Lebor, End of Bloods Lane. My house actually right here on this map. Am I to assuming that this opening here will eventually be the new north-south corridor, 4 lanes wide with right of way? I sat in all those meetings. It's already been authorized and funded. And it's not shown in here. I have to assume that. Otherwise, originally the plan was going to go right smack through the middle of this. I'm sure you're aware of it.
Yeah, I'm aware of it.
He is. I'm sure you are.
I'm not. I'm not familiar with it.
It's your job. You should be.
Well,
Well, it's millions of dollars here, millions. And I've seen that. And
No,
And it was slated to go right next to the lot line, actually, and intersect with the northernmost roundabout. That's also slated, you know about that too.
I knew there was going to be an improvement at A, B, and
You should see that. It's a monster. 3 roundabouts, northernmost and 2 southern. And an overpass. 12 and 18 is going to go to high-speed thoroughfare. And then that road that's going to come off of Copart is going to go into Lutz Lane. It'll be a monster thing, and you guys should be really up on top of that because your engineers are going to go bonkers after you say, well, we got to change it all. I just discovered something else. That's quite a plan. I don't have anything against it. Don't get me wrong. It's going to be quiet. It's progress. If I didn't want anything to happen, I would have bought the property. That's the American way, right? Well, no, I couldn't, obviously. So, and this is good for the environment, and it's going to be quiet. And I want to be a good neighbor too. I'm just trying to make a plan for my future. And the county is buying up everything, and the landfill is going to go to the moon. I don't know what to think next, but I just want to make sure that you're on the same path as the other planners. I spent a lot of hours in those meetings.
Wait,
Mike, can I get your last name again, just so I can remind you?
Niebuhr, Niebuhr.
Thank you.
in relation to the landfill that Mike talked about, has any solar development been placed on a landfill? This looks like an ideal use for one when it closes up.
The answer to your question is yes. Generally, they've been there for a while and they've settled. You have a couple of problems with landfills is that they continue to settle over time. And then the other issue you have is that you cannot sink piles, so you couldn't put piles through the cap. So everything ends up being a ballasted system. So when I say that, generally, when I've seen it, it's been a landfill that's been flattened out or not tall as this is, you know.
I do have one person online that has a question.
Yes.
Brian P.
Yep. Can you hear me all right?
Yes.
Yep. So this is a question for Mr. French. You mentioned the inverters, and I'm not sure if I heard you right. Did you mention batteries also? That there need to be some kind of on-site storage, unless you can transmit the power instantly all the time, which I'm not sure if that's how this is being specified. But would there be batteries also?
We're not proposing batteries at this time. So
Okay.
when the system, at nighttime, when the system's off, it's not generating electricity. It would be generating electricity during the daytime hours.
Okay. And I'm not going to make this a technical discussion, but just can you give me an overview? Would that just get fed right back into the grid, real time?
The simple answer is yes.
Okay. All right. So
So the energy gets.
that'll be transported over to that substation in Cottage Grove?
This will actually route down to the substation near Mcfarland.
Near Mcfarland. Okay. And well, my last question is 20 megawatts really going to make up the deficit of a fossil fueled generation model? Is 20 megawatts really the gap right now?
Obviously, it's not going to produce all the electricity needs for the Alliance service territory, but every little bit counts.
Well, it sounded like this was going to put us over the top for Dane County in terms of the renewable energy gap that Dane County is trying to close, and that gap right now is 20 megawatts.
For Dane County government facilities, yes. Not
Okay.
all, not community-wide in terms of Dane County and all electric uses within the county. For Dane County government, its electricity consumption, yes, it would fill that
Okay.
remaining.
Okay, thank you.
Do you have to do any stormwater?
We'll work through those requirements with the county, but this time I'm not anticipating any. Again, the panels are up off of the ground, so you really aren't creating a whole lot of impervious surface except for the entry drives and the parking areas. So
So there's no gravel drives in between the rows of the panels and
no,
stuff?
no, it would all be the
Grass and
the
prairie.
pretty flowers I showed you. Yeah, the prairie.
So with the additional 60+ feet of height of the landfill here in the next few years, how much is that going to degrade the utopian power generation of that? Because it's going to get dark, in that part of, around Femrite when the sun goes down behind that big, huge mound of garbage. And the efficiency of those panels, obviously, there's still going to be ambient light around where I assume there's going to be some generation, but rather than having say, for example, a relatively flat area where you would have from literally sun up to sun down for generation purposes, how does cutting, and one thing, it's
60 feet higher.
one
than what it
estimate I
is
saw
now.
was that the sun's gonna go down at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Because it's gonna be behind the hill. So, is that hill, or were your calculations taken into account for the lack of, freestanding generation like the one out at the airport and stuff?
I don't know if I can answer your question here tonight. I'm sure that our engineers have taken that into account as far as the calculations. But I don't want to tell you that for sure.
Yeah, I know.
don't comment.
It would be something to know.
Ryan said he does have one more question.
Yeah, sorry about that. I thought I had them all out. But I remembered that you mentioned that there's some, and I don't know if you use the word, if it's a stepper motor or what it is, that, if there's 4,000 little motors clicking every 10 minutes, do you have a dB rating on that? I think you said that you're at 67 dBs at 30 feet for the inverter. But what about those 4,000, or I'm just guessing that it's 4,000 little motors that would click every 10 minutes to track the sun from east to west? Is that, do you have a dB rating on that?
I don't. I can get that, or at least see if we can figure that out for you.
I'd be curious, yeah, because if it's synchronized like that, that could be a very loud noise. 1,000, and again, I'm just throwing a number out there, 1,000 of anything making a small sound can be pretty loud. So I'm just curious what that sounds like. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll see if I can find that answer out for you.
Thank you.
The sensor for that motor is on each panel, correct? Not one sensor for the whole site?
It's going to be on a string. If you see the way it's broken up into,
Yep.
Yeah, it's going to be on the end of the strings is where that'll be.
So you'd have probably like 20 sensors, so somewhere in there, just guessing. Yeah. So then that probably would go all at one instant, like you see all the windmill lights going on at one time. It would, I'm sure it'd be timing.
Yeah, I didn't want to overstate it. I mean, it's generally, when I've heard them and then when I've been, with them, it's a very quiet.
Yeah. That's not moving very much.
Right, and it's not like slamming a door. It's just like a click in your watch kind of vibe. Is what it starts to feel like.
How many panels per string?
I don't have that detail. I'll get you that answer.
Well, it looks like in this plan here that the tracking motor is actually placed 1/3 into the string. It'd be all right. It's gonna move the panels. Do you have a horsepower rating on that? And the reason why I asked is ice and snow.
Oh, yeah, so these will, this will be designed to, they're all individually designed, these types of systems, so that they can accommodate the snow load. for each location.
Last year, we had some fairly decent snow, and the gentleman out of Deerfield that does some solar, and he and I were talking, wanted to show me around and show me the inefficiencies that came up with snow, how they stuck to the panel. Obviously, these tilts,
Yeah.
I don't know what the melt rate's gonna be on these.
So it's a great point you make. Snow tends to melt or slough off pretty easily. I'll be honest, it's ice that's a bigger issue. But what we find is at least once the sun comes out and starts warming everything up, it'll slough it off pretty quickly. Yeah.
So
But you take that into account when you do your calculations for the generation. Yeah, so they're all there. They have all these charts we use based on cloud cover, weather conditions, things like that.
So we have, you load, the panels get loaded one way, all the snow comes off. You go through a cycle, morning to evening, they'll come back for morning. If you ever run into the problem where they start to hit the snow and don't reach full return, 52 degrees.
I'm not familiar with that happening. They're still 3 feet off the ground or so.
Yeah.
So, you'd have to 36 inches of snow built up.
I can talk to that a little bit. So, my name is Steve Grudanis with Alliant Energy. I'm a manager of electrical engineering. And some of this depends on the racking manufacturer, their design for how they handle that, as well as the quantity of motors. We have some preliminary designs and hardware selection. I'm not sure I'd call anything quite final yet on that hardware selection, but we're close. So for a couple of those questions for certain racking manufacturers, when they do go to tilt, if they were to encounter a snowdrift, they would simply essentially stop when they hit the drift. Some of them have, I'm blanking on the correct term, but like a slip gear in there where it's not gonna push down into the snow and get stuck. It's gonna stay there and it's gonna continue its rotation. Yes, you may not get full tilt, but it's not gonna break anything. Regarding kind of the motor question, I quickly looked up one of the things we have at our other sites. So you're right, some systems would have an individual motor per every row, and that would be a very small fraction of a horsepower per motor. For the system more reflected in this, I'm not sure the exact count, but we might have 20 to 30 motors at roughly 2 horsepower each across the whole facility. And to your point, they're on for a second every 10 minutes. So it's not a huge load draw. It's not a huge noise thing when they're spread out that far.
So have you ever had to encounter when there was too much snow buildup and you had to go remove it from the ground and spread it out?
Yeah, so it's Wisconsin, we get snow. It does come off. And that's where we actually have a solar facility at our headquarters on the east side of Madison. And we have looked at that, and we actually have time-lapse videos posted from that facility showing snow melt activities. We have seen that when you get snow and ice on the panels, depending on how warm it is after, I mean, if it drops to 30 below, it has a little harder time shedding that than if it hovers around 0 or closer to 32 degrees. So it varies a little bit, but it does shed either by sliding off or melting. I like to equate it to like the rear defrost window on your car. You get a little bit of trickle current in there and it kind of slides off.
Have you ever had to go clear it from, just spread it out on the ground if there's too much buildup?
We have not, and part of that goes into the design of if you build these so that your bottom edge clearance from the ground is only 6 inches, you're going to be in trouble. You're going to be doing that all the time. So we are designing the system to be high enough off the ground that if it were to occur, would be a very infrequent occurrence where the drifts would get that high.
Thank you.
I got questions on that sound, the clicking. Are they all gonna click at the same time? Or are you gonna have 1 or 2 rolls click and then another 1 or 2 rolls click?
I don't believe it'll be a 1 click for the entire
So
site at
then-
one time. Yeah.
It won't be a 10-minute interval. It'll be a constant. So that would be like having this meeting and having that door shut every 5, 6 minutes, 3 minutes. and we have outdoor services, we have outdoor events at our church, that will be in the lane.
Yeah, as I mentioned, I'll find out what the,
I mean,
what
be
the sound
constant
level
like
is
that.
for that. I appreciate your question. I don't, unfortunately, I don't know the answer to how loud, you know, it would be on a dBA rating to at least share that with you. My experience is when you hear it, it's very faint. It's my experience is I've been out in projects that are trackers. It's just not a, I only mention it so that you know it's there. I don't want to make I didn't ever mean to make it sound like it was a loud sound. I just want to let you know that they're not silent. They do make a little bit of sound. But it's really, if you were there, you'd be surprised. It's really how faint it really is. And it wouldn't be annoying.
Now those black communications there, both coming off of Femrite,
Yeah, those are
those are where those inverters will be?
yes, sir.
Thank you.
So yeah, so they're being in, so that's it should be a gravel access drive to about a 2-car parking area. And then in that area, there'll be a transformer, and then the central inverters would be located approximately in those locations.
What is the proposed route for the cabling for the generated power? I know it's south toward McFarland, but where specifically? Do you know?
I hate to lean on you again, Steve, but
Sure,
can you help me on that one?
I can answer that. So the current plan is that in the kind of southern portion along Lutz would be where our main point of interconnect would reside. And then the power would go west along Lutz, which has an existing overhead line. We are anticipating that we would go underground, not overhead. And that would reach AV, turn south, and follow AV down to linking on the road name, but then signal call, thank you, and then proceed west to the Mcfarland substation.
And why did you choose the McFarland substation?
Don't fully have that top of my head, but I believe it's due to the hosting capacity of the substation, meaning that we're able to add the renewable power there without negative impacts on the distribution line to the rest of our customers. We don't want to create over voltage situations or power quality situations. And so in our studies, that was determined as a substation that would not impact other customers.
So you said it was going to be overhead over the top of 12 and 18?
No, sir.
No, underground?
We're planning to go under.
Did you have a question?
I do, yeah. I'm coming at you with a question about property values or assessments. We live within the 500 feet. We have a home and property on Woodywood Lane. And I could get up and kind of point that to where it is, but my name is Jeff Wilson. We're at 2889 Woodywood Lane and been there for 11 years. And my question would be, do you have any metrics or any values on what a project like this scopes out at regarding a residence property values, assessments, values altogether here in the future, I guess?
I don't have it specific for this property, but there are quite a few there have been quite a few assessments that have done of other projects, because this question comes up quite often.
Sure.
And what they find is that it really does not affect the property value of adjacent properties. What they say is that there's an initial, during construction, there might be a drop, but once it's up and operational, everything comes back to really where it was before. As I mentioned, it's it's a pretty good neighbor. It's quiet. It's sitting there, doesn't get visited a lot. It's not being farmed. So we find that the property values really do hold up well. And it really came down to it. I could easily produce one that was done here for the Midwest. They looked at it regionally. When I say regionally, the Midwest region did a very nice job looking at what property values have done adjacent to and nearby small projects and projects 10 times this size. So,
Could you give the name of that location so we can verify that?
oh, of which the report or where the site is?
The site is, it's a community.
Probably the biggest one is, I believe it's called North Star Solar, and it's in Minnesota. And it's in Chisago, Chisago County, Minnesota.
Just north of Indiana.
Exactly. You must know where it is.
I have a additional
What town is
question.
this?
It's in I don't know the town.
The
It's
tax-based town is what we gotta find out.
Chisago County would be where you want to look, yeah. Start.
That's a 100 megawatt facility, roughly 5 times the size of what we're talking about.
And Bill, could you describe your construction timetable?
Oh, yeah, we never really did talk about that, did we?
That's what I was just gonna ask.
So, yeah, so construction, as I mentioned, is fairly intensive in the front end. You probably have somewhere between 50 to 70 people working on the site. And, you know, it's going to take 4 to 5 months to complete the project. The most intensive part, like I mentioned, is in the beginning. It's where they're putting in the support systems. But then after that, like I say, it's mostly done by hand. So it's not a whole lot of heavy machinery after the initial installation of the supports. So we would anticipate that this project would really from beginning and assuming that the reconductoring of the line down to the Mcfarland substation happens in a timely manner, that this would, take 5 months or so to have it up and operational.
We do have just a comment from someone online. Lori Pook says, I object to this request for a conditional use permit. This will ruin the look and feel of the neighborhood. We moved here specifically to live in an agricultural neighborhood.
Is this all gonna go from start to finish, or will it be in phases?
I would anticipate that it would go from start to finish.
Oh,
All at once. Oh, well, you wouldn't have 20 machines out there driving piles.
sure.
It's going to cascade, but it'll be done within that, 5 months. In other words, we're not planning on phasing, oh, we're going to do this part now and sit and wait, or then wait and do another part. No, it'll all be done in order.
In the homestead at the end of Hope and Emright, that will be taken down.
That is correct.
That's the only structures that will be removed, correct?
No, I believe there's another, there's a ranch home. It's up off of, to the east right there, where the wetlands are. That homestead, that property comes out also.
The Woody White Farm.
I'm sorry, I'm just saying,
Okay.
Yeah.
that one. So this one comes out, this one comes out.
All of those buildings will go down then.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Those two locations.
Where will your holding area be?
Staging,
Where will your holding area be?
holding, as it, like it is.
For all your equipment?
For a staging area?
Yes. Staging area.
Yeah. So we'll stage it on the property itself. Inside the fence, so it'll be fenced off, staged in there, just so nothing disappears.
That question that somebody called in, I didn't hear an answer to that.
That was just a comment. That wasn't a question.
AC for this, DC for this, it comes in here,
It goes in.
yes.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I got one on the solar panels.
Yes, sir.
If they're majorly damaged by hail or a tornado would come through, is there any pollutants that'll come off of the solar panels into the ground?
So that's a question we get asked quite often. To understand what a solar panel is made of, it's made of almost all the components are inert. In other words, they won't leach. So the cover of the panel is glass. The wafers are silica. The framing is aluminum. So there's really nothing that can kind of leach out should a panel be damaged. There's nothing liquid or dust or anything in there. It's really pretty straightforward material.
The reason why the church is concerned is we have well problems
Sure.
already from the landfill.
Understand?
We don't need any other issues.
Yeah, they don't leach. There's really nothing to leach in a solar panel. They're pretty straightforward.
Okay,
May I ask one more question?
yes,
You mentioned the timelines from start to finish the construction. In a perfect or in a fast track project, is this a 2022 project? What's your scope or target start and completion time period?
Yeah, should we receive all of our approvals and the permits? Yes, we would start in the spring of next year. It'd be a 2022 project.
Thank you.
so we will be back here on October 27th.
Okay.
We will have it, our class 1, class 2 notices will be placed. If before that, Bill, if you're available or someone from Alliant meet with me during the day, that would be great.
On the 27th?
No,
Oh, anytime.
anytime before
Mr.
that
Hampton,
meeting.
whenever you'd like to meet, we'll be available.
Okay.
And I'm sure I can get someone from Alliance too.
Yeah, well, likewise, let us know if you have any answer questions.
Any of these questions will just be typed up, or should I just try to address them based on my notes?
The things that you said that you were gonna get back to us on, just address those, I guess, is that what you mean?
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah, if you want to get those written responses back to me before the 27th, or actually before, about a week before that.
Yeah, and what I'll do a quick, if I can do it tomorrow, I'll send you just a quick email, make sure I caught everything that we
Yeah.
thought. Just so I don't miss anything. You don't
Sounds
know.
good, yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
One other thing, Guy, are you going to close them right down during the construction process?
No, we are not anticipating closing Fenway down.
We will close it down for the bridge.
Just gonna close.
Well, yeah, I know that, but I didn't know if,
Next year.
No,
because of the fact you're doing work on both sides of the road, if you're going to shut it down. Okay.
no, all deliveries will come in. We'll probably overbuild the entrance during the construction period. All deliveries will come in, drop off, exit.
Okay.
Yeah, we would not anticipate. We will not close Fenway Drive. Let me be more affirmative. You're gonna close it, but I'm not. Or we're not.
Other than for the bridge replacement.
That's right. Same for Hope. We won't close any roads.
Yeah.
There's really no need to.
No, wouldn't think so.
Yeah.
You have space to.
Will the connection of the two properties go underneath Fenway?
It's really up to it's a township road, so it's really up to the township. When I met with Mr. Hampton, he said to go over, preferably we went overhead, but it's really up to the township.
Right, wait.
Don't need another bump in the road.
No.
Yeah, no.
The answer, we can go either.
Yes, Mike.
Yeah, last question for me, little troublemaker back here. Say, at the end of the day, points to the west, they all go through a reset. They're gonna swing 180 degrees, the entire 110 acres of them, all at once.
And like we mentioned, it won't be that coordinated. It's not going to be you're not going to see all strings moving at once. They'll move in time. They have time during the night to move themselves back into the.
Right,
At the
so
end
they
of the
don't
day.
just go with 180 degree in one fell swoop. I can hear them all squeaking already.
No, my experience is they don't do it that way.
Okay, I don't know. That's what I
No,
said.
great question.
Along that same line, is it based upon pre-calculated sunset time?
Yes.
Or is it by the amount of ambient light that's available?
You know that? I don't know
I
the
do,
answer.
So
That's a
it
great
depends
question.
on the system.
Okay.
Different manufacturers do it different ways. The system that we are anticipating is pre-programmed based on latitude, longitude. So it knows when the sun rises and sun sets every day. So that way there's no instrumentation or clouds that are going to be impacting it. So that is, I'll call it the leading system right now that we are anticipating would be a pre-programmed system.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Motion to table till the 27th.
Second.
Motion by, second by Steve. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried.
Thank you.
Oh, no, I was asking for one.
Oh, okay.
So then we need to continue discussion on the update to the comprehensive plan, focusing on the opportunity for planning commission members to comments on the draft land use chapters of the visions and direction volume and the draft future land use map provided for the August meeting. And
It's pretty much either.
South corridor.
Oh, no, our staff is well aware of everything.
You know, the best to tell these guys.
Oh, no, they're aware of it, not to the detail that you mentioned.
$1 million. You know, it's been thinking right away. I mean, just a basic engineering.
No, I appreciate bringing it up.
Actually going through there, he's gonna change AG.
I don't think anybody knows that.
Yeah, that's what I did. Thanks.
That one you said is 100 foot between the property line and
90% of all of them panels have to come down.
so we have the draft of the land use chapter. Looked over for the last meeting. Do you have any comments on it?
Does that include the commercial?
Thought that was in there, yes. Yes, that was part of what he gave us.
Just a.
There were two land use chapters, one from the conditions and issues chapter and one from the land use chapter. So make
Chapter
sure-
5 and Chapter 3.
So you want to look at the one that is from the visions and directions chapter on the bottom. Yeah, Chapter 3. That's what he's looking for comments on.
I just had a question.
Is that in the, which one is that in?
This is a commercial.
That was separate.
Commercial plan for
Yeah.
North Star? Okay,
Economic development. Okay.
okay.
I guess on 17, where they're talking about the objectives, the only thing that I find hard to know how we're going to balance community interest in land use with preservation of landowner rights. You know, when we talked to the farmers, they didn't want to do long-range protection of their property, because they want the options of if they need to develop, they are going to want to, but yet the other residents want us to preserve that farm. I don't know how we balance that.
I think the statute does it for us as far as takings.
I could understand a farmer not wanting to cash, so if they cash in the chips on it, you want some ability to, in case there's some problems,
Right.
to do something. Okay, so there's that, and then he's in an area where there's preservation, so I think the real thing that you were mentioning is in the event of annexation, that they can't develop the land, it would be more of the village coming in and wanting to.
Yeah, if we use something other than the county's deed restriction, if we use some third
Correct.
party, which, you know,
Development. And that's what you're referring to, correct, that the farmers do not want to sell a third party right.
yeah.
That's understandable.
And I don't know how we balance that out, but I guess we'll have to.
What's the balance, just as far as,
The farmers don't want to do that.
right, kind of like,
But residents in the subdivisions, I'll say, they want us to preserve that farmland forever.
So when you get a farmer that wants to sell to a developer or a developer that wants to buy, then you've always got the people coming in saying, we want that to stay open space. And so how do you balance that out
Yeah.
and say, you know, well, this farmer has a right to profit from his land, but then the rest of you have a right to, you know, whose rights prevail? I think that's what the balance is, right?
Well, is it a right?
To buy it.
Is it a right or a desire?
Yeah, well,
You know, I would have to.
interest, it's so, yeah, the interest and landowner rights. So how do you balance out an interest probably from a lot of people in keeping it open against one landowner's right to develop? How do you balance that? How do you?
Well, I don't think, to start with, I don't think the town of Kaiser Grove, at least in the foreseeable future, is gonna expand any housing without any sewer and water, because your developers, they don't want anything unless it's got sewer and water. So all this is gonna mean is that we're gonna be annexed, or, you know, into Madison, or into the village, or into the village of Mcfarland. Because I don't think, I mean, I can't see it where we're gonna be developing anything that's not gonna be sewer or water. That's just my own thoughts, but I really don't.
Resop sold his pretty fast and Vinny sold his.
Well, that's true. But I mean, as far as any amount of land, you know, I guess Vinny's isn't too bad. He's got a decent parcel, but it's not like you're gonna, when you go out to like Wanakee or DeForest and that, I mean, they're just expanding into the farmland and.
Yeah, we probably won't be doing 100 acres or 200 acres at any one time.
Most of what you have planned for neighborhood development is in ETJ at this point. So, yeah, you know, that may be true, but anyway, I think what Chris has been trying to say is how do you keep everybody happy when you have those two different desires?
Part of that, to me, is when you have a farmer that says, I'm gonna sell this 40 to a developer. In somewheres in that is where you have to make some type of a kind of, I want to use the word concession, I don't know if that's the right word, between what the people want and what's going to happen within the development. But that doesn't always happen.
No, well, the balancing things is have big enough lots so they feel like they're still in the country.
Yes, but then that goes back onto if you're going to do small lot sizes.
Which we don't have to do.
And who wants that big lot? Who's going to take care of it?
The landowner.
Who's taking care of all the existing ones in the township now? The landowners.
Yeah.
That was how the township started.
And that's, to me, that's kind of a marketing thing. If you want a small lot, you'll find an area that's got small lots. If you want big lots, you'll come to the area that's got big lots. It's what
You want a big lot by 35 acres.
No.
That's a big lot.
And you zone off your 2 acres for your house and you rent the 33 acres
The farm.
to a farmer that wants to farm.
That's one way, but if you're thinking of it, let's go back to having a developer come in and buy the 40 acres. And you got a developer involved, he's not doing it for free.
So
How do you get that to go along with the neighborhood? And something within that development, whether it's acreage or lot sizes, or I carefully use the word park space or green space, or added buffer area of trees and stuff. I don't know, but I understand what you're saying.
I mean, there are dozens and dozens, I don't know how many lots in the township that are at least an acre. How much land do you have at your corner? Okay, you take care of that, don't you? Very nicely, I might add, okay?
for now.
But that'd be few and far between.
Well, you know, but see, the thing,
Age will catch up with it.
I've got a good acre at my place. I think I take care of it well. Mike, how much do you got? You probably got 3/4, don't you?
Of what?
A land at your lot?
Yeah, just over.
Okay,
And then we still got the guy down at the corner of Vilas and BB that you can't get to mow his lawn.
well, you know, and that's a tiny lot, so. But, you know, I guess and this is a different topic for discussion, but to go ahead and start throwing tiny lots out in the township really kind of defeats the purpose of the township vision that so many people seem to have. You know, larger lots, less houses, but it's a development. You know, the farmer's still getting his bucks for his land, but there might be only, say on a 40, say there's only 15 homes on it by the time you get all your roads and everything else like that on it, instead of 35 or 40 homes on it.
The neighbors for Vinnie's development were objecting to the lot size. They were too small.
I agree. And at that particular time, and I'll be very blunt, that was what the plan commission decided to tell Vinnie that, yes, that's what you're gonna do. They didn't give him a choice. Don came in with larger lots at first, and then all of a sudden, you got more and more and more houses with smaller lots.
I thought that was the realtor.
Huh?
I thought that was the realtor.
But, you know, I guess to have development, if a farmer or landowner wishes it, you know, and us encouraging not so much compact development like the village, I think would probably appease more people than having the compact development.
Right.
And you gotta find people that can afford those then.
They're there. I mean, look what they're paying for a lot in the village.
What they're paying for a lot in Kennedy Hills.
And what?
In the town.
Look at what they're paying for a lot in Kennedy Hills.
Pretty good line.
Yeah,
I mean,
Look what they're paying for the house.
You know?
yeah.
right. But I'm saying, there's people out there.
There's no lack of people with money coming here.
Right. And you know, it's, I think if we offered it, they will come in some fashion. That's my opinion.
Has anybody gone through a Don Tierney development?
Who?
Yeah,
Don Tierney's development, whether it's in Deerfield or out of
Sun Prairie,
Sun Prairie or
Windsor.
Wanakee, they're tiny lots. They are tiny. There's even 0 lot line buildings,
mhm.
okay? But they're all very nicely manicured, okay? But I guess the point is that those people, that's what they want. That's what they bought. So when we talk about up at Kennedy Hills, people are buying them because that's what they want.
Are they in the villages of Deerfield or?
It's
They're all in the village, so they are
Sewer,
water and
water.
sewer.
Yep.
Yeah,
But that's, the point is that's what they want. It's the house, they want just a small area because it's all about their house. It's not necessarily about the land. However, there are other people that want more space. They want some green space.
And their sheds.
Yeah, exactly.
for their choice.
That's right. So I think there's how you figure out the balance.
You know, I guess with, I realize all the issues we've had with Kennedy Hills development. But when they came and told us how big of lots they wanted to do, they were pretty much spot on. You know, they knew what the market was, you know, because obviously it's full or almost full right now. And I'm gonna throw out there that if a developer comes to us and says, I have a farmer willing to sell me 40 acres and we're gonna put, say, 1.25 acre lots out there, chances are he's probably got a good pulse on things or has, you know, enough people lined up or potential interest for people to pay the price for a lot like that.
So he
And-
hopes.
Huh?
So he hopes.
Depends on the economy.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but I'm just saying, currently,
However, if you only had a 1/2 acre or a 3/4 acre lot in Kennedy Hills, but Dave wants a big lot, he buys 2 of them. Right next to one another. And he places his house wherever he wants, he can
maybe
do it.
have to see what the stipulations are for the covenants and stuff. I mean, so many of them nowadays prohibit you from buying 2 or 3 lots.
Well, you buy 2 lots and put the house on one and sell the other later, maybe. So you have to use the lot for a while.
Because, I mean,
Pay taxes on
in
it.
some of our current subdivisions, we've had people buy 2 and that one lot still sits empty. They mow it.
Well, that's what I had my neighbor there for the longest time, and now there was another house built on it now, but
Jensen?
sat there for years.
Yeah.
You know, listening to this whole thing, this testimony and thinking about the whole deal, it actually is not going to be a bad neighbor if you don't have to look at it directly, because it doesn't make any noise. It doesn't pump any water. It doesn't make, it's not going to, there are not going to be any lights at night. It's going to be totally dark.
No traffic.
No traffic.
Give you wildflowers to look at when you drive by.
Yeah.
Sometimes, yeah.
Yeah, maybe. So there's a lot of pluses to it. I'm not trying to sell it, but there's a lot of pluses to it for some people. I wouldn't want
Other
to
than
look at
costing us all money,
it. Well, through taxes, yeah.
taxes, increased costs for electricity.
That's gonna happen anyway. This guy's selling it's a lot more reasonable than the Inverter guys. This guy's
Then the what?
Inverter, they just push down the guys who are doing the big 100+ developments, the guys from Chicago.
King.
Inverter,
Over in
yeah.
We energy.
Cambridge.
And
Oh, the Christiana one?
So he thinks they can do that in 4 to 5 months?
well, that'd be easy.
Yeah.
You gotta see how long it took them out at the airport.
Yeah, it took a while.
Is it?
Yeah.
I'm seeing one go up by Montfort up there. Seems like they've had their holding area and their trailers up there for over a year. And they haven't even started pounding pipe yet.
They have. It's been there well over a year.
So on number 3, Chris, when you're talking about balancing community interest and land with the preservation of
Yeah.
land, so you don't know how you're gonna do it, or you opting that should come out?
I don't know how we balance those 2 disproportionate views of land. You know, the farmer, he may want to farm it for 20 years, but at some point, if he doesn't have kids that are going to do it, he's going to want to sell it.
Or you'll have,
And then the neighbors will be upset because the land is,
But by a developer that wants to put houses in there, and how do you balance that against people that are in our subdivisions that like to drive by and see a farm?
You have to remind them that one time their subdivision was a farm and the rest of us like to see it.
exactly. I mean, I point that out to my neighbors.
you gotta move to a little more. Thing, as far as people, they don't want traffic, they move to an area that's kind of quieter, I can see that's one of the big things too, the open space.
That's true, like I said, but like it's, my neighbors that different ones, we come out here, we didn't have any of these houses and all this stuff. I'm like, well, then you should have bought the land.
Yeah.
The farmer would have sold that land to you. I mean, this was farmland that you're on.
And that's the other part, is that it's snowing and these people really want it, they may buy it, but they're gonna have to buy it, obviously, developer rate.
Right.
So looking at, I mean, so the objectives, this is a plan, and so objectives are the objectives, and the plan is supposed to give policy on how to meet the directives, right? Objectives. So I guess the better question is, where is the policy in this plan that helps you guys balance community interest and land use with preservation of landowner rights? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah.
Indirectly.
You know, is there something in this policy that should be tweaked so that it's easier for you to follow and do that? Because a lot of these other things, there's like focus on ag and natural preservation while protecting the town fiscal viability and borders. That's all, you know, based on the land use map kind of does that. It directs development in the directions to do that, but I don't know what exactly in the plan is helping you to balance.
So I got a question. How many big landowners have known to having any type of third party? I mean, I'm not asking for names. I'm just wondering how many big.
You know, is it 40+ acres?
Oh, how many did we have here that night? Have the-
5, maybe?
Yeah,
Did they say no?
I didn't hear anybody say, no, that's ridiculous or anything like
No.
that.
they said no, that they didn't want to long-term keep their land held by a third party.
Okay.
They didn't, yeah, because that takes out their attractiveness to a developer if they're close to somewhere that could be annexed.
Right.
Yeah,
I could see that, but somebody that's in another, maybe way towards the east or something like that would say, well, I think that they would get so much an acre to
Yeah.
third party, they might take that.
but out there, it doesn't help really because they're never going to get annexed anyway. So they're always going to be in the county and the town.
Sure.
It's not, doesn't even matter.
Yeah,
So that's the real objective, is we're talking about, like I mentioned before, we're talking about keeping that green space, getting the landowner to sell to a third party so they can keep the green space to keep the other people happy. Let's see. Thinking what thought was.
yeah, if we wanted to natural heritage or one of those.
Well, the part about that is, okay, so
Because the county's not going to protect it once it's annexed.
Yeah.
It's gone. They can
Right.
develop it.
based on who the owners are, correct?
Unless Natural Heritage or one of those organizations was a holder of that deed restriction,
Yes.
then they're not going to let it be developed.
So maybe that's one of the things that's made known, is that, and I don't know how to do it, but if you're a development next to open area, if the property should ever come up for sale, your development may want to consider buying that and holding it. I don't know how that's done, but that's what they're looking at, honestly. Or am I wrong in that? And they'd have to say, yeah, we want, allow this to be developed or not to.
It take a lot of people to
Yeah.
get something like that to go through.
Yeah.
Get whole development and try and get them all on one same page.
You have to do it on a town level, like done.
Yeah.
I can't think of a group of neighbors trying to buy some land and paying for it and have everybody agree to it.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. That's what I think. I'm like,
You want to do what?
this ain't gonna work.
That's what people have to know. This is what you're up against. You want this, in order to get this, which is your preservation, you need to do this. You need to buy the
Well,
land.
you can only control what you, that's the bottom line.
Right.
Sometimes you can't even control that, but.
You know, and all those people across the road, from me, they're all been out there all those years, and now they're all kind of off their arms because villages, they haven't sold that and developed it. Well, what do you do?
Yeah.
I already would have sold it to them.
Anybody got anything else on the land use chapter?
after it gets approved, it's set in stone, or if we notice some hiccup later on, we can correct it.
I guess we could always come back to it
I didn't see anything.
until we get to the final.
Yeah.
Then we want to draw a line and not change it again.
That was when I brought this up, to switch gears. Had to do with that commercial piece and those roundabouts.
Yeah,
Okay. Have we checked with the DOT on that, or anything, whether they're permissible in the areas?
What do you mean?
Roundabouts as far as the location. This one, I don't think would be a problem. Would this be a problem? You know, I had close proximity to the on-ramp and
where?
this maybe.
I don't know.
Oh, that's just that there would be, that's an intersection. Business Park Gateway entry sign landscaping thing.
Okay, so that's not a roundabout.
No,
Okay.
no, it's, yeah, look at that. Is what he meant by it.
Okay.
So nothing else on that?
Hey, does that solar farm fall out of farmland preservation, even though it doesn't, it's not being rezoned?
I don't think so because
It's not being rezoned.
it's not,
AT 35 would still be,
yeah, so no.
So the county would get farmland preservation credits for that?
Only the FP 35.
Oh, that's right, okay. Yeah, Ag T
Well, they
is,
only get
AT
farmland.
is ag transition.
transition.
Farmland preservation is a tax credit and they're not paying any taxes, so I don't think it applies to them.
Okay.
It would get it.
Will that take the acreage out of our percentages?
No, it's still, I mean, I think they still consider it, it's a solar farm, you know, I think it's.
Yeah, I hate that word solar
They
farm.
haven't changed the zoning, and if the solar farm goes away, it can go right back to farming.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's, what takes away from the percentages is when you rezone something to a non-ag district, but it's in the future land use ag area. That's what takes away from it. So all these lots that we've done out there, every one of those takes away from it. But if you're not
Right.
rezoning anything, then it shouldn't affect it.
So moving on to the figure 11 and 10 and 11, utilities and community facilities program. Start with figure 10, utilities and community facilities timetable. For water supply town improvement timeline, I put question marks. I don't know that we ever will.
Or do you push a date out to the end of the foreseen plan? So this is a 10-year plan, look at it again in 2030, rather than question mark.
What did you say, Steve?
I said,
Put it down for 2030.
seeing it's a 10-year plan theoretically, if we push it out to 2030 rather than just having a question mark there.
Study possible by 2030, maybe?
2030
Yeah.
question.
And do the same with sanitary waste treatment disposal.
Sure.
Stormwater management, no changes. Town hall. Make it 2030, I guess, for a study. Recycling, trash collection, no change. Solid waste disposal, no change to the program. Law enforcement, we have no changes. Fire and EMS, no changes. Medical facility, it's not our town role. Library, no. Schools, childcare, no. Parks and rec facilities, town support role.
Where in the northwest part of the township were you considering a park?
If development occurs.
Well,
But where in the northwest?
Be north of Gaston Road.
It's to be north of Gaston Road, but that's the only place out there.
Oh, okay, I mean, that's fine, I
That
just,
would probably be about the only,
Yeah, there's
Okay.
a section going all the way down the hill,
Yeah.
down to Bus Road. Or down to Vallis Road.
yeah.
okay.
Telecommunications, we reviewed. Trying to do something with internet, the broadband. Transmission lines, nothing. Cemeteries, they have plots available. Comprehensive plan priority programs. Agricultural resources. Expand activity in the town's TDR program. Priority rating, leave that at top. Consider nominating an agricultural enterprise area. I don't know, we have anybody that's interested and with enough acreage.
You may want to consider that for blocking a big solar development. Possibly.
It's not something that the town does. It's the landowners have to ask for.
I know.
Can we leave it moderate?
Yeah, I can think of something like something Kevin Shelley would do.
If you had landowners interested, would it be a moderate priority, I guess? You know, I guess.
I mean, if they would be interested in it, I guess I would do it, but.
The main reason I bring it up is if you're gonna have, somebody's gonna invest a lot of money in some kind of agricultural event, you don't want to have a solar farm built 2 years later that destroys their investment. So hopefully that agricultural enterprise area would help block it a little bit. I don't know if my thinking's correct, but another stumbling block.
Yeah, I don't know. Do we leave it moderate?
Yeah.
Land use, seek amendments to county farmland preservation plan.
You know what he means by that?
Huh?
You know what he means by that?
No.
So.
Well, that might have been the same thing I was talking about when he's had the commercial TDU. Remember the commercial use?
I mean, they change it whenever a town changes it in their comp plan and sends it to the county to approve.
I don't know. I'm gonna just ask him what that even means unless somebody thinks they know.
Economic development, focus commercial development, Highway 12 and 18, interchange area. I think that stays our top priority. Support bio-based business development in the town.
Which was kind of that same area. The ag business park, so to speak, for a while.
So leave that moderate.
So what is,
Hey, what would bio-based business?
yeah,
Like the switchgrass development for power usage is one of them. That kind of fell off by the wayside with all the solar shit.
Yeah, no kidding, I haven't heard of switchgrass in a long time.
is solar is not bio-based, is it?
What's that?
Or industrial hemp too, processing.
Boy, yeah, well, that's 40% down in the state.
Yeah.
Well,
It's-
should I ask him what he exactly meant by that too? What that was?
Yeah,
The CBD has taken over the whole emphasis of industrial hemp, but there's a lot of other products.
Oh, I agree.
So that's one of the things there.
Transportation, participate in WSDOT planning efforts for Highway 12 and 18. I think that's, and learn more about the village's Koshkonong Creek Parkway.
I thought when he was here last time, he said that there's no such thing and he was gonna take that out.
Yeah,
I tried to do a little research on that too, and it sounds like it was a dead thing, but I would like to leave something of, I consider Koshkonong Creek.
that's not transportation.
I consider it a transportation vessel because Suntory's putting water in it. So I'd like to leave something in there about that. It's an open pipeline. Unless you want to have some other place.
Well, then maybe it's another category under comprehensive plan priorities then. I don't know what it would be, stormwater or something, or water.
Or you put it under agricultural resources to control flooding.
Okay,
And take out the ag enterprise area, replace it?
You could.
I'm not suggesting that, I'm just asking.
I mean, I don't know why we couldn't have 3 in there.
just add another one, yeah.
Okay.
So Koshkonong, what do you want to call it?
Koshkonong Creek.
Actually, they're studying it too, that they're gonna do the study, so
We'll just call it study and then.
Yeah,
study the Koshkonong Creek waterways.
flood, parenthesis, flooding issues.
Maybe you want to move that to top priority?
Yeah,
Yeah,
She knows it, doesn't it?
I'm sure.
so utilities and community facilities, phase implementation of community facility improvements. I think we do that high.
what does that mean?
Updating our facilities, town hall, fire station, town garage.
Okay,
Investigate provisions of public sewer and water service.
that's the same, really the same thing as the first two on figure 10, which you put back
Yeah,
2030. So I would think moderate might be okay there, huh?
yeah.
And that 2030, does that mean it gets completed by 2030 or gets looked at? 2030?
Study possible by 2030.
Yeah,
So,
Anywhere in between now and then, there might be a study.
yeah.
yeah. Intergovernmental cooperation. We should probably add the village of Mcfarland.
Yeah,
Work to limit annexation of town lands. Well, don't have a lot we can do. Implementation, consider amendments to plan annually in spring. I think we should do it every other year, not every year. Do it every even number year.
wouldn't get an argument from me.
Starting in, everything starting in 2024 then?
22.
You'll also
Well,
be in there.
no, it's 22. We'll have just, yeah, it'd be
Finished.
24.
Okay.
Every year?
Every even numbered year starting in 24. Because if we get this done beginning of 22,
And he's got down here, update comprehensive plan 2024, 2025.
I'd say 2030.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
activity in the town CDR program. That's just to, what does that mean? To, like expanding it.
Trying to let the landowners know that they can transfer their development right or sell it.
Yeah, yeah.
Rather than having to use it if that works for them. You know, it's education, I guess, on the entire PDR program.
Be very good.
So then moving on, continued discussion on width requirements for future roads to allow for walking and or bike paths, focusing on advice from Greater Madison MPO. And we had that little memo that, oh, shit. Excuse me. But I would really like to get some understanding from us as to what we want to do with road widths on what type of road.
Did you look at this one, the advisory shoulder? I printed this up.
It's indicated here in the second paragraph.
Yeah. It's in there.
I did not.
So that's what in an adversary shoulder.
4 to 6
Advisory,
shoulders.
not adversary.
I had it right first time, advisory. Okay, so one of the things that I wanted to know is, you know, what do you really need? And in here, it told you about the, yeah,
Good, you got a picture.
about the motor vehicle speed in the area. And the motor vehicles as far as the count, you know? Would you really want to have a sidewalk? Or would this be adequate? And they gave distances.
People don't use sidewalks anyway.
You're right. So they gave some,
They don't want to shovel, they don't want to.
Well, no, I'm just saying that the joggers and the bicyclists are on, you know,
On a roadway, yeah.
and they tell them that don't use it because of all the sections. Eventually they become uneven and
Yeah.
they'll.
You know, the thing is, I don't want to, you know, we had people who expressed desires about having widened areas on both sides of the road, because God forbid, you know, you'd have to walk past somebody, you know.
Across the road.
Well, no, I'm just saying, and you'd have to pass somebody on the same side, you know, like you would on the bike trail,
Yeah.
you know.
Well,
I'm sorry, I just,
then again, too, if you take 3 feet on one side, but 3 feet on the other side. And, you know, you're supposed to walk toward the traffic. I mean, I've been almost hit before walking on things. I'm walking today, I'm walking up the road. And there's a van coming down the road, this lady in this van, and she didn't move over at all. I'm like, right on the edge of the road, finally went out the shoulder, and she stopped the car, she said, you ever think about moving over? I'm like, there's nobody in that other lane, for God's sake.
Yeah.
I wanted to punch her, but I thought I better not.
Good. So how wide are our current?
24.
They're 24
This is
feet.
mostly. The new roads that we build are 24.
Okay, because in here they said the center way for two-way traffic is 18 feet. Okay, and then on each, the right and left-hand side for the shoulders, it was 6 feet.
6.
So that's 12, so you're sitting with 30. So that'd be an additional 6 feet,
If that's what
if
we.
that's what we're thinking.
Yeah.
but those are only 9-foot lanes, and you said 18 feet, right?
Yeah.
Right here, they were saying for center two-way traffic, but you're right, it'd be 9 feet each way.
And if you allow parking, which becomes worse.
And here's the other thing, you know, I mean, the city of Madison's got their 20 is plenty program that they're starting,
Yeah.
you know, where, yeah, you could have smaller lanes. However, you know, if you've got, you know, a street potentially that people talk about Baxter Road all the time, all right? It's 35 and 45, right?
Mhm.
All right, you can't put a 9 or a 10-foot lane there at those kinds of speeds.
No, that's why we're talking
How
about.
wide is Dexter?
Baxter is a 12-footer.
On each
Yeah.
lane?
Yeah.
For these vehicles, for these widths, they're
Well,
talking
no,
between 25
probably-
and 35.
They're probably only 20.
Yeah, these are for
Probably
new
only
roads
22
anyway. Right.
foot
This is not
wide.
for existing roads.
But it makes point to what he's saying as far as the speeds.
But you could add 3 feet on each side paved and then have
Have a line.
a 2 or 3 foot gravel shoulder which would facilitate parking, I guess, to get you off of the road.
Yeah.
But I would only do that in
New,
through streets,
Yes.
right.
not dead end or cul-de-sac.
That's
It's,
exactly
Just a
what he
feeder,
said.
it's just the feeder roads that go through.
yeah, like
makes
Sandpiper
sense.
or Baxter Road, American Way, Damascus.
But all those little
Side roads
Secretariat and all
stay the
those,
same.
they don't need that extra.
No, they could say
They don't have much
24.
traffic on them.
And that cost would be by the town,
By the developer.
but that's already developed, all those, okay?
Yeah, we're not gonna change.
No,
the-
we're talking
Just
new.
Correct. So you got a development you got development in all 4 corners here. And there's gonna be a new development in the middle. You're gonna have him put bike paths in or walking paths to go where? Nobody else has it.
True, and then that puts it onto the town to do one or the other ends to upgrade it.
If we can.
Yeah, you're not always gonna be able
Yeah.
to.
So as a condition for putting his subdivision, he has to upgrade, is that you're saying?
No,
Just his.
just what he's building. And then at some point, the town's gonna have to rebuild that other section of that road that's gonna connect to BB or whatever.
Okay, so that answers my original question. It would eventually be us.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
As they replace them or repair the roads or upgrade the
Or as
roads.
far as the need dictates.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, and if you got more and more complaints from people in Damascus that I can't walk on the road because there's too much traffic cutting through because BB's closed because they're repaving it next year or
But so
whatever.
how many lanes did you say? So, or what did you say again? So you have how wide are lanes on each side for walking?
3 is what we.
3
3 feet on each side.
3 feet in each side paved
Yeah.
and then either a 2 or 3 foot
Shoulder.
gravel shoulder.
So 24 plus 9, no, 24 plus 6 plus,
30 feet paved
yeah,
Plus 12 feet of gravel.
and
66.
2 or 3 feet of gravel shoulder.
6 feet. So now you got 36 feet of surface.
Right.
And so that leaves you with 30 feet, 15 feet of ditch on each side. Right? Within
Yeah.
the right of ways.
Out of the 66.
Is that enough to do the ditching that we need to do?
I mean, we could ask Nick that question, but I would think it would be, but
This depends on your topography.
yeah.
Yeah.
Not gonna be good in every place, but most of the places should be.
And if you did it for improvement on, like you said, as needed in roads, everybody's already got that setback there and the nest's gonna come into play also.
Here's a question I have. I heard this again. We have friends and relatives that live in Michigan. We have friends that we visited up here in Twin Cities, a small town called Hastings, Nebraska. The municipalities, if they're gonna fix your road out in front of your house, say, for example, Damascus needs repaving, the residents on that street pay for the entire repaving. The governmental body does not pay for it.
So they're the only ones that use the road then?
That's just the
Yeah,
way.
Don't forget to use the road. That's mine.
that-
Private road.
It's like curb and gutter and sidewalks. The residents pay for those. And have you heard of that anywhere in Wisconsin? I haven't.
No.
I mean, as far as roadway goes, yes, we know about curb and
I suppose you-
sidewalk and stuff like that.
I suppose you could try and special assess them.
I don't, they have to get a direct benefit. I mean, to special assess someone, they have to
I mean,
receive
well,
a direct benefit of it. So
like say Vilas, say Damascus look like Vilas Road, you know, down the way here where it's all chopped up and everything. And we were talking about fixing at least our portion next year. Say Damascus was that bad, okay, where you got big potholes and everything else. Wouldn't they get a direct benefit by we assessed them either all or a portion of that road
I don't know
repair?
how, I mean,
You know, I'm just throwing it out there. I'm
Or
not.
is it the town's fault they didn't repair it sooner? So
Well-
then that's such a big bill.
I would say that would probably be annexed that much quicker because people say, I'm not gonna go out there.
you know,
We have to pay for the damn road. It needs to be repaired.
Yeah, no, I'm just, when I heard it, I was flabbergasted.
I don't think it's right that people get assessed for, the village assesses for sidewalks, and I don't think that's right either. I can already walk there. The sidewalk makes it so everybody else can,
Yeah.
you know?
Sure.
That, I don't get that.
Well, that's
And you
a
gotta
communist
maintain it
too.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
gotta maintain it
If you
too.
don't shovel it, they'll.
Yeah, as I said, that's kind of communist, you know, it's just, they'll come out and shovel your sidewalk if you don't shovel, I mean, their sidewalk. And they're gonna bill you for them shoveling their sidewalk, and if you don't do it, then they're gonna bill you, and I mean, it's like.
But you gotta
okay.
pay for it.
Oh, yeah, you gotta pay for it, and if it needs repair, you gotta pay for it.
Yeah, no, I just simply threw it out because of the fact I was just so flabbergasted to hear that that's how road repairs are done.
I've never heard of that.
So if
Well-
you only did one lane, you'd cut that by, you really only gain 3 feet, right? But then, so you'd only have another 1.5 feet on each side for ditches.
What happens if you did a 4 foot on one side? That would be wide enough to allow for,
Well, I don't think, I don't, like I said, I don't think it comes to that. It's a safety thing that, I mean, because I deal with it all the time. And you better be walking toward the traffic because these people are out there looking at their cell phone, whatever, and they're coming behind you. You should be walking toward the traffic. You should always walk toward the traffic. Everything you don't walk enough. I walk, like I said, I'm out there walking every day and
You gotta drive equipment down the road, see what you see.
what's that?
Drive big truck down the road, see what you see.
Yeah.
I get passed every day in double yellow and solid yellow.
Oh, yeah.
And turning left.
Well, on Kennedy, I get irritated with how many people walk on the wrong side, and they're walking, you know, down the middle of the road facing away from me in my lane, and they don't even know I'm there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're supposed to be walking toward the traffic. I mean,
Yeah.
that's just.
Right.
Yeah, so I feel like yelling at people about that. And did your mom not teach you to walk against traffic or what, dear? You know, but so I don't know, maybe I would have to agree with what you're saying about the lane and both.
having stuff on both sides.
Yeah.
The one thing I have about your comment about the gravel being 3 feet. People are gonna park there, they're gonna be parking on the bike lane and the gravel. So it's only 3 feet.
No, they can't park on the paved surface, can they?
3 feet is not gonna do it on.
Well, you go up here by the school, I mean, they've got that bike lane there and people park there. I mean, the bikes, you know, they can't look around and go around the car park there, but I mean, overall,
I'm just saying, Chris, people are not gonna park on 3 feet of gravel because trucks are wider than that.
Yeah, they're gonna park onto
yeah,
the,
they're gonna park on
3
it.
feet might not be enough.
but you know, like
Well-
now our ordinance says they are not allowed to park with any wheels on the pavement. And so if we still have that ordinance, that would be ticketable.
Right.
Well, they park now, I mean, they pull down into the right of way, something like, I mean, a couple wheels in the right of way and a couple wheels on the gravel, is what they do.
Yeah.
That's what they should do.
Yeah,
Do we have an ordinance about that?
Mhm. Can't park with the wheels on the paved surface.
Lots of people do.
on the town road.
Oh, yeah.
Didn't know that.
Oh, yeah, I see them sometimes, they park the whole car right out there, my people have to stop, let somebody else. in.
Happens all the time in Damascus, in front, especially in front of the park. Okay.
Not supposed to.
So do you know what you need to know?
Well, yeah, well, you're thinking 6 feet of gravel. You're saying 3, but we bump it to at least maybe 5, if not,
5 would be good enough.
5 would be work.
How much gravel do we have right now? I've got about this.
5, yeah.
On each side?
Some don't have any.
I mean, I've got about that much.
I know it's not gravel, but it's a lot less than, I mean, okay, so now what would that cost to maintain for the township? The actual gravel?
Yeah.
Okay.
You'd be pushing it right now.
Gravel's relatively cheap. It's the labor putting it down.
In maintaining it.
Because the plow's gonna move it when they do the snow.
Yeah.
In some cases, it
I get
does,
something,
not a
not
lot.
much.
What did you have written down for Chris's calculations? You had
Well, I mean, like I was trying to figure it, and like you were, 24 is what we have now.
Yeah.
Plus 6, so 30. That, to get you all the way outside of paved, and then another 6 with 3 feet of gravel on each side. So then you're up to 36, is that what we said? Yeah, and so the road is 66 feet wide, so now you got 30 feet left, which means 15 feet on each side is all that's left to do ditches.
And we're gonna check on that.
And I'm gonna check with
With Nick.
Yeah, and so it had to be on future because like I said, the existing, you have all the setbacks and so many of those houses wouldn't reach the setback. If you expand that.
No,
Setback would still be the same.
setbacks would be the
Doesn't
same.
change because it's from
the middle of the road.
it's from the road right.
But, it would feel closer because the road
Yeah.
would be wider.
Yeah,
Okay.
And the ditch starts getting pretty steep.
Yeah.
it does.
Not to change the setbacks from here, but when you drive in on Cottage Grove Road where the old Century is and you see these apartments that are built over there, I'm like, well, yeah, I'm like, holy crap, where are they gonna put the snow? Are they gonna
Yeah.
put
Push
the
it back
snow
out
blow
on
up
the
on
road.
the sidewalk
And
and
they're
then
gonna push it back on the sidewalk, yeah.
I'm like, what? Could he get them any
That
closer?
turns into a pissing match then.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You shovel your snow.
There, and then where the new library and that is, the same thing. I'm like, God, you guys could have moved that back, another 5 feet would have made a huge difference, because they got big parking
and I would
lots.
only make that change on collector,
They gotta haul it away.
on a collector's like street.
Just like what's up there.
But I got
Sandpiper,
something like.
American Way,
And that's, yeah, and then those are streets that wouldn't have curb and gutter.
right.
Right.
What we should do is Hope. Violet's Hope, the one that's so busy.
Wow, that's all. They're both actually pretty busy.
I don't
We
see much
would-
bike traffic on Viola's Hope. Viola's for sure.
Well, Violet's,
If you ever redid
Violet
it,
Hope,
you'd want
that's
to do
busy.
that.
That's busy. I think that's as busier than,
No, bicycle wise.
Bicycle wise. no. Just like on BB. I want to ride a bicycle on that.
I think the reason I'm asking Chris is I see a ton of bikes all the time on Ridge. Doesn't bother me, but
On where?
on Ridge.
Ridge Road.
Oh, really?
They're going up to the next townships. That's
Sun Prairie.
that's an arterial for bikes.
Yeah. Yeah, because they're going, some of them actually go to the bike trail even.
Yeah.
That's what I mentioned last time. Between BB and the bike trail, it'd be a good place to put that stuff in.
Yeah.
But I see more of them going to the north.
Right.
I mean, I don't know, at what point does it lead to having to have more right of way? That's what I was trying to get at. 15 feet, is 15 feet gonna leave you enough room to do everything you need to in the ditches? Does it leave enough room for snow removal, all that stuff? And or do you have to start considering more right of way on those roads?
And that's a question we would have to have Nick for his
Yeah.
guidance on
Yeah.
from engineering side.
Here's a question for you. How much would it save bicycles on the BB and some of the other town roads if they paved the bike trail?
You gotta get to it first.
Yeah.
You gotta ride on all of our roads in order to get
Yeah, but
up
would
the street
they
here.
stay on the bike trail more than if they were than going on the other, like Ridge? I don't know the answer to that.
I don't know why they do, why they choose roads.
It's endurance biking.
Yeah.
They're going a long distance.
It says maintain the bike trail, that crushed limestone. That's not bad right now.
Mm.
Once in a while, like in the spring, it's,
But not those tires that those guys are using.
No, that's
For the
true.
long distance.
The thin ones.
Yeah.
So send that to Nick and have him weigh in on what the right of way should be and have him write us a little report, sending it back to us for next month?
Yeah.
Is
Sure.
that,
Yeah, see how the right of way would be impacted with this,
yeah,
or the ditching, I mean,
right,
water flow,
okay.
good point.
Then we're at 8.
So
Motion by Mule to adjourn, and second by Myler. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
So